Boom, boom. Welcome or bienvenue, welcome to another IPSA Kind of Magic, a show that celebrates the independent personal search agent. And we have a few of them on both, do I say past and present? No, because Jackie is in fact a consultant to IPSA, even though she's not actively a search agent. But we have Barty Boover, Sharon Whitney of the Whitefield Legal, of course Hamish McClay of Search and Convey, and Jackie Dyson of Yorkshire Search Agency. In between many other jobs that seem to be taking up all of her time now. Retirement seems to have made her even busier. Hamish McClay, would you care to take us away? That was supposed to rhyme.
It does. However, welcome to you all. Another great morning. Afternoon, I should say. It was a great morning. Unfortunately, most of us had to be working, I guess. Today, we're taking a step further. We're number 4, I think, in sequence in terms of what we've been speaking about. And the majority of you outside of IPSA probably recognize IPSA as being particularly useful, particularly helpful when it comes to residential searches. But our advantage, because we have the time to actually sort of work with our client base, which many of the corporate sort of type, when you're working with volume all the time, the opportunity doesn't arise. But we do actually generate a good working relationship with clients, and we can find out what additional items that they actually sort of like to work with, what further items we can help with. Now, they don't normally necessarily consider us to be ideal people to be supporting with commercial searches. However, this is something we can do, and in fact, Jackie herself has been doing it for some time. I realise that. So too have Barty and Sharon at Whitefield. They've been doing it for quite some time now. We have. But the last 3 major inquiries I've had are to do with commercial searches. And there is a difference. They're not quite the same. But since the first 3 topics we spoke about were relative to the buyer's pack, what the buyers would normally want, how we can support that buyer's pack as well, this is something else we can actually sort of do. So we actually have a group here who are very experienced. I'm a novice. In many respects, particularly in the more complicated ones. I don't know my brain can cope with all of this sort of stuff, which is why I need to phone up the likes of Sharon from time to time to ask her guidance on the way. However, it's something, and a great advantage to us because of the concept. We are in a better position in many respects to be able to discuss the complexities of some of these commercial searches with our clients, because like residential can be very similar, but the commercial ones, I'm finding at the moment, very few of them are similar at all. They vary much.
Well, since you mentioned her first, well, Jackie, I'm going to throw you straight into the fire. Have you all? I don't suppose you've always done commercial searches as a priority, right?
Well, they're just as much a priority as residential. The difference is that the clients are spending a heck of a lot more money. So therefore, the searches, I mean, I didn't charge any extra for local searches, but obviously for your water, coal and enviros, etc., they are a heck of a lot more expensive. I mean, sometimes my commercial bill could have been anything up to £2,000 because the environmentals and calls and stuff like that go on the size of the property, not what it's used for. So if you've got a massive warehouse or industrial unit, it goes on the size of the actual acreage of the property. I mean, I've done searches on whole industrial estates, which if they're new ones, can be quite complicated. If they're an old industrial estate that were built just after the war, they're not as complicated. There's not as much planning history on them. But the actual doing the search, the local search, is no different to doing the residential search. It just comes down to you sometimes have to put your insurance because some people could be investing a hell of a lot more than £2 million that we were insured for residential properties. So that is the difference. So and also there could be a lot of advertisement applications, like planning permissions, planning consents on advertisements, which you very, very rarely get on residential properties. So there's not actually much difference apart from the cost.
Okay. Barty and Sharon, welcome to the show. Before anybody says anything, they've been with us many times before, but Barty, have you noticed there's been an increase in the number of commercial search requests that come your way?
Yes, we do quite a bit of it. We do a lot of care homes, dental practices, pharmacies. Those have really, where people are retiring. So we get quite a lot, especially care homes. We do quite a lot of care homes. And super, again, like as Jackie said, the cost just escalates on that one. Okay, you may have, obviously we do all official search on care homes. We don't do regulated one. The council fees are expensive on the commercial, but it doubles the cost on enviro, drainage, and chancellor check incredibly. And and there's not just those 4 searches. There are a lot more linked search with that. So I think we paid about 18. One of the clients paid £1,800 just for a 40-bed care home. So quite a lot. Yes, it has escalated, and we're doing a lot of those now.
Sharon, do you find that some of these commercial searches, it's almost like you lift the lid and underneath it, especially if you suddenly find a whole basement full of nuttiness that you need to deal with?
Definitely. I think as IPSA members, we're in a very unique position because we have the relationships with our clients. So when they ring us for a commercial search, we're finding out more information, like what is the future use of that property, or is it staying the same? And then being an independent provider, we can say, right, your standard enviro, that's not going to cover you if it's going to be redeveloped into houses or flats, sorry. And then if there's no change of use, we can save you a bit of money because there's another provider that does a great commercial product which covers you, and you don't need that. So speaking to someone like us and all these IPSA members with the expertise, we will guide you on the correct reports for your transaction. And so you're getting those reports at the right time, and you're not having to go, oh, I need this now, or I need this. This is what you want. This is the area. This is the risk. What is the commercial transaction? And like Jackie has said, from a warehouse to an industrial unit to, a hotel that, HMOs, anything. So we offer that unique service, and that's what is being a IPSA member. That's what you get, what clients get for their money. They get knowledge and expertise.
Hamish, I know that you champion the relationships that you've built with companies like Elan and WigiWam and so on, and that the commercial side. Will they be able to capitalize on those relationships?
Sorry, I missed that last point.
The commercial side, commercial searches, would they be able to champion that through WigiWam and perhaps?
In many respects, one of the great things is, we don't, because we are independent, we don't necessarily need to work through Elan. We don't need to work through anybody else's portal at all, because we not only do we have the independent sort of relationships ourselves with our personal clients, we also have, in many instances, our working relationship with the councils for their stuff and with the providers of any additional reports that come in. I mean, for example, you see what we are doing at the moment, and the majority of our work that has been done with IPSA in the past, is setting people up to be able to work on residential, because that is, if you like, the larger proportion of the work that we're doing. However, what has been seen because of this, the additional support we have that we found through our relationship. If people trust us to do their residential, they're going to trust us to do anything else we can guide them through. And this is where it sort of helps. However, what the great thing is about Barty and Sharon, for example, have their own independent sort of setup anyway. They don't need to go anywhere near Elan. So I mean, they've got a no. I think we all have great control, but the great thing is relationships matter. And Wiggy Wham is at this particular moment in time, it's more set up towards residential, but it doesn't sort of preclude. I mean, because very often somebody's got a flat above their shop below, so it can be that sort of little mini combination. However, it is something, if you like, what we're trying to do and trying to say, because of what would appear to be the increase, and my most recent inquiries that have come to me are from clients, commercial. Two of them are commercial solicitors. Another one's a developer. In fact, two developers have asked me about it. But it's quite interesting. One purely, and I remember Jackie saying this too. One purely commercial. He's a commercial lawyer. That's all he is. He doesn't deal with the residential.
Right.
But he approached me. So the great thing is there is a mix. And it doesn't really matter because of our independence and working together with all our other IPSA members. And also, you see, the client will dictate. If it gets to the value of a property which is above that 2 million, there can be a difference. But we can get the additional cover to actually sort of equate to that. So there's lots and lots of things that we are so adaptable. This is the thing.
I do think that's, I mean, I'm having been involved with you guys on the periphery for a while, I see that, and I'm going to throw this at you, Jackie. I see that one of the greatest strengths about IPSA is that you're not hidebound to tightly controlled, only seeing this snapshot of what's going on. If you think that there's more to search for, you'll go like a terrier and go and hunt it down.
Yeah, of course we will. That's what we. That's why I started doing personal searches, because when I worked in the land charges department, and other land charges officers will find this, that all they did was that property. They weren't allowed to say next door's got a TPO on it, next door's got this on it, and
Right.
you know, they could be useful to you. Whereas independents, we can say to our clients, oh, hang on a minute, there's something next door. We can have a look at that as well. And the first thing they'll say to you is there additional cost? And the answer to that for me is no, that I will include that in, because I think your client needs to be aware of what's going on next door or behind or across the road. So
Yeah.
as independents, we can add that little extra thing in. I mean, I used to send out with my searches, but the days when we used to send them out by DX post,
Right.
you know, it was all done by paper, and I would add in a sheet about a conservation area, add in a sheet about TPO that's on the site, what they can and can't do, and why they need permission and things like that. So as independents, we can add those little extras in, and with commercials, because the people are investing so much money. Yes, I know, like in Barty's and Sharon's area, that the properties, residential properties, are going to be so expensive. You know, your commercial properties there's a very, very big investment, so they want to know what's going on around. So being independent, we can have that little extra in for them and do as we please, actually, and our clients are happy about that because they're getting that little extra bit, and we will go that little bit of extra mile for them. So yes, to me, to use an independent a search agent as a member of the IPSA, go ahead, use them, because they will go that extra mile for you.
I just wanted to quickly check in with you guys. Barty, I know you've seen a lot of changes since you set up Whitefield. Would you say that in the last couple of years, perhaps with the new changes of government, with the last few changes of government, that you've noticed that there's more of an emphasis towards commercial?
I missed that. Sorry, say that again. The last
In
sentence
the
you
last,
just
in the last, no, not at all. I don't know if my sound's a bit dodgy. Let's increase it, but there you go. Have you noticed over the last few years, perhaps through the last few governments, that there's been more of an emphasis towards commercial searches?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? Commercial searches, like Jackie's just said, they are expensive. They need to know what's going on surrounding area. The other thing that has really come into play is fire risk and asbestos. Up until now, we never did fire risk, and in the last 5 years, we have, that has increased a lot because, again, the law changes and law doesn't change. It's going back and forth. But now, what some of the lawyers are doing is not taking any risks, not having those searches or those reports that goes with the commercial property. So, again, fire risk and asbestos have come into play, let alone just with the searches. With the searches come the enviro, the drainage. Enviro is one of the main ones. Drainage is, again, the big thing. But, before we didn't have that this much pressure, or even the clients didn't have that much pressure. But now it's everything has to be done in a proper, and the cost obviously escalates. The properties are expensive now. Even the commercial properties are so expensive. So it's really important that they need that. And as an independent, we know what is required and not required. So when we have a commercial search, we automatically just ask those questions. Do you need this? Do you need that? And they said, oh, we didn't know we had to get those. So, it helps them super fast their transaction as well. So it has changed, yes.
Well, I'd suggest it's changing perhaps for the better because it points out, by virtue of the fact of the experience with IPSA, why using independent personal search agents means you're going to get a better result on your commercial claim. Hamish, would you like to have the last word, sir?
Indeed. I'll try. It is interesting when we look at the scope of what's going on at the moment. And there's one particular case this week, which was quite a serious event. Because certain areas of London, and of course, Barty and Sharon will know better than I, but certain areas of London, they've converted a number of commercial properties into residential. And as we well know, builders will cut corners. And they cut corners during that particular sort of conversion. And at this particular moment in time, they've had to take all the residents out and put them elsewhere because of the details with that. But the reason I make mention of that, because that was originally a commercial property. And when you look into it, you will not get in the direct information, even though it is a commercial property, it will not tell you about the cladding risk, about the fire risk. It doesn't come into the standard reports. It seems absolutely almost obscene in a way. If somebody's buying into a property, you would like them to have the full information. And this is what I mean. Jack has made mention of it, Barty and Sharon as well. They've all made mention of this one particular fact. We can take that step further. And the great thing is we can do it with residential searches as well as those commercial searches too. So we just, and from the other aspect, there's obviously many members outside of IPSA who do watch our podcast, and it's great to have you sort of tuning in to see exactly what we sort of carry on. But also just a reminder to IPSA members, it's a great thing to speak to your clients about. Say, can we help you out with the commercial searches? And if any of you need any sort of help or support, you've got fine examples here of people you phone up. Phone up Whitefield, have a word with Barty, have a word with Sharon. Get hold of sort of Jackie as well. If you get hold of Darren and myself, you can actually put you in touch with either of those. So whatever your location, it matters not.
I would say that although Jackie, Barty, and Sharon are remarkable people, and I'm sorry, this is not to do any of you a disservice, but you are just examples of what a good IPSA member is, in that you're supportive, helpful, and the focus is to dig a little deeper, not just be satisfied with the bare minimum. Hamish McClay, once again, thank you so much for helping put this together. Jackie Dyson, as ever, from the Yorkshire Search Agency. Bharti Buva and Sharon Whitney of Whitefield Legal Services. I'm Gareth Wax, and I look forward to next week. Until then, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars. Who knows, you might catch the moon. And please look after your mental health. Bye-bye now.
Bye.